Good evening to you. I'm Danilo Evangelista, and welcome to our tropical weather outlook for September 12th, 2025. Let's start off in the Atlantic, where we have a moderate chance of development of a tropical wave that might have a chance to develop as we head into next week, although things are still a little bit iffy with this. I'll show you the models in a little bit, but at least we have something. There is something to track on September 12th. So far, in this very unusual, quiet month of September. Maybe is that beginning to change? We'll see. In the Eastern Pacific, we have Tropical Storm Mario, which is now formed, and latest 3 p.m. Central Time update, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, obviously. Maximum sustained winds are 40 miles per hour. It's a weak tropical storm. There are some tropical storm watches in effect for Mexico. I'll show you the satellite image in a little bit. Not going to see anything too significant. I mean, this is only going to be a weak storm. Might strengthen a little bit as this begins to head more in a west-northwesterly direction away from the Mexican coastline. But this will still remain a weak storm. It's probably going to bring some heavy rainfall here to Mexico. But again, still going to remain a weak storm. Again, maximum sustained winds 40 miles per hour, minimum central pressure 1,006 millibars, located at 17.4 north, 102.9 west, and it is moving west-northwest at 14 miles per hour. And let's start with Mario in terms of what we're tracking today. And you can see quite a disorganized storm. Really doesn't have the typical shrimpy look that you would see in a intensifying tropical storm. Just kind of a mess of clouds right now, and that's because of moderate wind shear that is impacting this storm. And I think also the downsloping effect of Mexico too kind of has an impact on intensification, especially if storms really close to the Mexican coastline. And again, this is going to remain close, but will be a weak storm. And the biggest threat that we need to watch for this is going to be rainfall that will impact the Mexican coastline, as well as a few gusty winds, because there is a tropical storm watch in effect for a small portion of the Mexican coastline. And as you can see in the key messages here, they actually label it as the first key message, the rainfall. And I think that is fitting because, as I said before, rainfall is the number one killer when it comes to tropical systems. And so they put that first, and I think that is, very much agreeable. And I think that is warranted, that you should raise rainfall as the number one threat. And then there are also tropical storm conditions, which are possible along portions of the coast of Michoacan today, while Mario moves roughly parallel to the southwestern coast of Mexico. Gusty winds are possible elsewhere along the coastline. And then interests in these areas should continue to monitor the progress of Mario. But will not be a strong storm again. Eventually, as this heads into the weekend, this will begin to move off to the west-northwest and move away from the Mexican coastline. And now to the Atlantic, where we do have, again, really not a lot of activity in the Atlantic right now, very surprisingly. We kind of are stuck in this permanent frontal pattern off the East Coast. And because of that, we just have this pattern of fronts in the East Coast, then resulting in troughs, which then break off in the Eastern Atlantic and just dump lots and lots of dry air into the tropics. And because of that, absolutely nothing is able to form right now. But nonetheless, there are still waves that we are tracking. Obviously, the National Hurricane Center has a moderate chance for one, and you can kind of see where it is right here in the Eastern Atlantic. There is some convection firing now, but it's not particularly strong. And that's part of the dry air and the generally drier conditions that are in the Atlantic right now. These waves are really not at all able to consolidate very easily. And I also saw something that the African monsoon this year is actually much, much weaker than it has been in recent years. So not only is the environment not very favorable, but these waves are also much weaker this year too, and that's just resulting in really unfavorable conditions in the Atlantic overall, and just nothing is able to get going. But we do have one wave that we're tracking here in the Eastern Atlantic, And you can see on the 850 millibar vorticity signature, there's a little bit of vorticity, some sort of rounded signature here, so maybe something might try to consolidate after all. But just been the trend. We've not had a lot of things going on this year so far. But let's see, does the GFS develop something this time around? I showed you the European ensembles yesterday, which showed quite a bit of development out of this storm. But the GFS on the 18Z, you could see this is the wave right here, and just taking you out over the next week. Seems like it goes through the same phase. I mean, there's some consolidation that does try to happen. You could see definitely a surface trough of some sort develops here, and the vorticity tries to consolidate, but just again, it's just not very potent. Something is out here. Something's happening in the Atlantic this year. It's just not able to produce at all, and it's quite surprising, especially because we're talking about early to mid-September, which is the time frame where we are in right now, and we are not able to get anything happening in the Atlantic. This is just almost completely unheard of, to be quite honest with you, and I've been tracking for several years, and it's just we always have something to track, and I mean we do right now, but usually by now we have an actual active system, and not this year. I mean, you can see here on the GFS around a week out, I guess it starts to feel the effects of more favorable conditions. Maybe the MJO will kind of become a little bit more favorable here in the Western Atlantic as we head into mid to late September. So you can see there's definitely something that tries to consolidate, but at least with this wave here in the Eastern Atlantic, just taking you out over the next week, once again, GFS not showing much development. And really quickly to end off, let's see what the Euro does on the 12Z. And even then, some consolidation tries to happen. You can see here vorticity bundles a little bit, but it's still not super defined. And interestingly enough, they also too show development trying to occur in the MDR around a week out. So maybe are the tides shifting? Maybe are we starting to get things to change in the Atlantic, and we'll finally, although not in a way that I want, activity, because I want it to impact people, but I am a tropical weather enthusiast, and I do like doing these videos every single day, and I do just generally like watching the tropics, and it is just very weird that we have absolutely nothing happening right now, and we are in September. It's just completely unheard of, at least for me. And maybe are we starting to see those signs change, and we're finally starting to see a change of tune here in the Atlantic? We'll see. But for now, things still remain quiet, although we do have an area that we are watching in the Eastern Atlantic, and we'll see if it develops next week. We'll see if maybe models are kind of going back and forth on it right now, but we'll start to see more consolidation as we head into the weekend. And maybe, once again, we are starting to see the tides turn, and things are starting to become more active here in the Atlantic. But for now, that's it for today's video. Not much else to go over besides that, besides Mario in the Pacific and obviously what we have in the Atlantic. There's also, I think, some activity in the Western Pacific too, but even then, the Western Pacific has not been that active this year from what I've heard and from what I've seen. In general, just the global tropics this year, not very active. Seems to be a global phenomenon, not just the Atlantic, that we're not producing things. Maybe that's going to change, though, but we'll see. But thanks for watching this evening's video. Hope you enjoyed it. Stay safe. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and as always, I'll be back with more tomorrow.